You're listening to Radio Primavera Sound, proudly presented by CUPRA.
And welcome to Line Noise. And I'm very pleased to say we are here with Sherelle. How on earth are you doing?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. So I've got a very specific question I want to start with.
I'm really scared.
So the last time I interviewed you, you had an Arsenal shirt you thought once belonged to Thierry Henry.
Yes.
Did it belong to him?
Do you know what? Never got that verified. I had a really lovely... I played at UU and one of the amazing DJs basically gave that to me and I just, I'd never got it back. But I wore it everywhere. I still wear it now. But I'm quite precious with it because I'm really scared that it might get taken. I actually just had an email come through from a shop whereby you buy vintage like football shirts. I got a vintage, was it like 1998, 1997 goalkeeper t-shirt that Seaman would have worn. And it's like purple on the sleeves and it's predominantly black. And I'm going to wear it at Glasgow. So I'm now back in my... I'm still in that phase of wearing nice vintage pieces, basically.
I don't want to bring it up too much, but you also promised to do a jungle tune for Norwich City, and you didn't.
Listen, I make promises that unfortunately I don't keep because I feel like I want so much and quite delusional with actually how much time I have. it's genuinely like...
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the really big things that since we last spoke is your debut album, With a Vengeance.
Yes.
Which you surprise released this year.
Yes.
Why'd you do that? Why was that sort of surprise?
I've got an amazing team in which we spoke about stuff and just kind of wanted to do something different. And originally I didn't mind going through the usual album sphere of, I don't know, releasing a single and then building up to it, but it just didn't really fit in with the general ethos of like what I am about. I feel like everything I've done has been very much, it feels very much like my career has been like quite a big anomaly. I don't know how to describe it.
A beautiful anomaly.
A beautiful anomaly, like the from the Boiler Room in 2019, which just didn't, I still to this day have to think about and go, wow, that really catapulted me into so many different spaces, to so many different places that I've played, being here for the second time, and now doing a solo set. It just weirdly, strangely enough, in the Sherelle universe, Sherelle land, kind of makes sense to dropping an album by surprise. I really wanted to do something so different. I'm not trying to pretend as if I'm the only person that's on a surprise drop.
No, but
obviously not. But it's like, it was nice to drop something and for people to just take it as it was, and I just listened to it. And I hadn't released music for quite a while by that point, so it just made sense.
One of the many things I loved about the album was, if you look at it, it's like Sherelle with a Vengeance, which is like saying, essentially, more Sherelle than you can handle, right? Was that the idea?
Yeah, somewhat. I feel like it's quite a strange one. It's like, I'm very much known for these sets in which have always been quite fast-paced, like full-blown turbo. I just want people to have fun. DJing has always been a form of release for me, and I've always really enjoyed it. With a Vengeance, however, the space that came about in was that, I guess from 2022, 2023, I was in a very strange space. DJing loads. 2022 did about 90 plus gigs. Right, it's giving Carl Cox level, right, of like just being absolutely everywhere. And you don't have the time to reflect. If you were to do that on a standard basis of like actually how much time that is, you've got 2 weeks in the year to yourself. I was out every week DJing somewhere. And because of that lack of reflection, you do things, get involved in things, hang out with like maybe the wrong people who are essentially guiding you down a path whereby it was like very focused around money.
Oh.
getting somewhere. We need to get you here. We need to get you there. And there was like a lack of, I guess, appreciation or understanding for my own mental health. So by the time it came to 2023 in the beginning, I kind of had a big depressive moment.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, thank you. It's a strange one because, you know, you reflect back on something and go, thank God that happened. But then in the moment of when you have depression, which would have been the first time of having it, it was kind of like it's a really consuming space. And I completely understand when people are going through it, why they feel like they are so helpless in getting out of it. That's what I felt at the time. The album With a Vengeance felt, you know, by the time I felt like I got out of it, sort of, and worked around the fact of a lot of feelings around betrayal, especially when it came to like friends that I had like worked with and I thought had my back in a lot of instances and situations, and then found out a bunch of stuff around them and about things and realized they fucked over other friends of mine. I just had to channel that in a good space to try and create something good. I think that has helped me a lot process my own, I guess, you know, you grieve a lot if you've got like friends that you once had, and then you grieve the process of like, oh fuck, like I'm not friends with these lot anymore, and I have to grieve about that. But then I also feel betrayed, and then I also feel, you know, that I need to grow from it. And I've grown a lot from this process of the album and putting stuff out, and the surprise element was also good because then it felt like it's out there in the world and people can just take it for what it is. That makes it like so much nicer as an artist. That's also what I want to basically be now, is more artist-led, not, you know, still very much a DJ, but make music and try and give something that's very different. Like I've always done in the DJing sphere, but now as an artist, you know, if that hopefully that all made sense, and I've, you know, gone in a really like spacious kind of description of things, but I don't know, reflection is good and you need to always have it, basically.
I wonder if this is too personal, then feel free not to.
No, bring it, yeah.
Because talking about sort of depression, and the world you operate in is a world of dance music, is a world of fast beats, it's a world of people having a really good time.
Yeah.
Is that almost more difficult? Because if you were like, you know, making, I don't know, mopey indie rock or something.
Yeah, you can kind of get into it.
Yeah. But people kind of expect Sherelle. They expect, you know, 160 BPM. You know?
100%. I think I touched on this before with other, you know, interviews and stuff. There's a false sense of happiness that you have to have as a DJ, regardless of whatever genre you're in. You have to go out there and have a good time. Little did people know when I was here the first time that I had a panic attack before I played with Tim. And I was hanging out with obviously my homegirl and babes, Naina, and our friends. And I was with also Tiger Paw, who was also playing the same year as well. And had a full-blown panic attack in front of them. And just like everyone was speaking, everyone was like kikiing, and then all of a sudden, you know, they were speaking and it just slowed down. Do you know how crazy that is? Like imagine everyone is like normal pace, like normal motion, and then what they're saying though is really slow. I had to drop to the floor and then was like, guys, I don't know what's happening, but fuck, could you get a medic? So then Tiger Paw ran off, right, Dion ran off, got someone, they took me to a van. Luckily the people here at Primavera were so lovely, gave me a Valium to like look after myself, and I made sure that I didn't drink or anything like that. Had a great set. However, it was quite a lot to deal with that, and I think that was annoyingly, I didn't take that as a sign of like slowing down,
right? Because
that was like an obvious sign of, are you good?
Yeah.
You know, like the fact that you're having a massive panic attack in such an amazing festival and there's like all these amazing things going on, like, are you good, sis? Like, what's going on? So I think, you know, you have to kind of change a lot of things that you do in order to survive in the industry. And that this false sense of happiness is not good to have, like, you know, these kind of hands. That's not good to, I don't know, it's good to be in that space, but we push ourselves and we force ourselves into trying to be happy all the time and we're not sometimes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's normal. Like, normalize DJs DJing very moodily rather than and it's no shade at all, but rather than us doing backflips or various different other stuff. And my boiler room is a prime example of I didn't think that was going anywhere. So therefore I just had a great time. I drank all the rum I could during the 50 minutes that I was on because I was like, yes, I've got a boiler room sick. I can go back to my intern job at Mixmag. And
you were an intern at Mixmag?
I was an intern at Mixmag. And it was like, a bunch of the Mixmag lot had come down. So it's like the meeting of the minds, just being like boiler room and Mixmag in one room together. But, I was doing lots of video stuff for them and I wasn't expecting that to go anywhere. So therefore, you have a good time. But yeah, I don't know, DJs have a full sense of, they have to be always happy all the time, otherwise the set's really bad and people can't relate. Because everyone looks at the DJs, especially as well, actually.
Yeah.
And that's kind of unheard of in comparison to what it was like before. So yeah, there's a lot to think about and a lot to take away from what I'm saying there, but hopefully people can find a way of normalizing being completely authentic in front of people basically when playing and not having to feel so happy all the time basically.
I mean, it seems a very banal question, but are you good? Are you good at the moment?
Oh, 100%.
Good,
yeah,
good.
Because it's about having the self-awareness of like understanding that it's good to stay inside sometimes. It's good to not drink and take yourself into a space in which you're drinking too much or you're not eating good. I changed my diet, became vegan because I found myself, and this is like almost like an economical sense of going to fancy places and eating really strange meats like octopus, and that was supposed to give opulence.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, totally.
It's quite strange.
The pre-gig meal and
But at a fancy restaurant, drinking fancy wine, and then eating fancy meat, it's kind of strange in that sense, basically.
But I'm really glad you mentioned money because you did what I think was a wonderful thing. Mm-hmm. You did the Cheap and Cheerful tour recently with cheap tickets, about £10, was it? Which I thought was great because, a lot of people don't have money.
Yes.
And was that hard to put together? Or was there honestly some kind of pushback from venues being like, you're charging 20?
No, every single venue that did it was completely in understanding of why we were doing it. We lost the Wire club in Leeds, and they were really accommodating to having the Sherelle Land tour, even though they were about to go under a few months later. And I think every show that I did in Europe understood the concept of it. We have to kind of recognize the element of, annoyingly, I'm very much from a community mindset. I'm very much from, community radio, playing at places, and they host footwork nights, jungle nights, the niche and full-blown underground music. I've entered into a space, however, which is unfortunately quite capitalistic and knows and understands what the music lover wants and needs and then sells that back to them. So I think for me it was apparent, especially pre-depression, that something needed to be done and changed, because otherwise we're entering into a space where people don't care for people's circumstances.
Yeah.
Bills are expensive. You're spending more than half of your wage on rent if you, say, for instance, live in London or a big city. Clubbing is become a luxury. How is that possible and how is that normal? It's not fair for you not to have a release. It's not fair for you to feel that you have to stay inside to save money and make sure that you're okay. I remember what it was like as an intern, and then, pretty much 80% of my rent going into, pretty much 80% of my wage going into my rent, and then being left with £200-300 for the month.
Wow.
Still finding ways to DJ or go out, but I was lucky I knew people in the clubs to go there for free. So imagine if you don't know anyone in the club.
I could talk to you for hours. Unfortunately, they're telling me.
No, you're all good.
We've got to end soon. But I just wanted to ask one last thing. So the album was really well received.
Yes.
What was the hardest track to make on the album and why?
I can easily tell you that from go. Ecstasy Suspended was the hardest track because I found it really hard to make it. Something felt very off. Came back to the project of Ecstasy Suspended, created Ecstasy, which is the fourth tune, and then realised that I was making two tunes which were the juxtaposition of how I felt in life. So Ecstasy was a liberation and amazing thing in which I was like, post-depression, wow, I'm back. Yes, sick, I'm happy. Ecstasy Suspended is actually how I felt in depression. And it feels, I've purposely made it so compact and gritty and like a lot of distortion and all this kind of stuff because that's exactly the feeling I felt during depression. When playing it back in the listening party that I did at Fold, I nearly cried. And Lorraine James was like, are you good? So obviously really good friends. And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. This one's about my depression. And then she was like, say no more. And then stepped back. But yeah, that was like the hardest one. Also, strangely, the project got lost the project out of nowhere. I don't know what happened. There was like a bad save. Oh. And I also named it after a mix that I saw of Sophie's, which is Heaven Suspended. Nice. And I've named it also similarly to that mix. So that mix meant a lot to me during COVID because that's actually when I was learning how to produce. And she is someone who means a lot to me as a producer, also Virgo. And I think the way that her instrumentation as a producer, cultural icon, you know, when we're not going to have anyone like that ever again. But it's good that her legacy has been, you know, something in which we've been able to experience and been in the same timeline. I saw her a long time ago at another festival, and yeah, I don't know. It felt good and nice to name something which was in relation to her as well. So yeah.
Sherelle, it's been a pleasure. The album is great, and I'm really looking forward to 3:45 in the morning.
Yes, getting all the album tracks in.
And the new tracks. Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You're listening to Radio Primavera Sound, proudly presented by CUPRA.